CTM Sports Talk today. Let's talk about it. Not about sports per se, but the situations today. Bruce Pearl situation is more common than you think. We're going to talk about that today. Do you know who is coaching your son? Do you know who's coaching your daughter? Do you know who's coaching your kids? We're going to talk about that today. So we finna get right into it.
Too deep to change. Everybody know my name. I guess I gotta charge it to the game.
We finna get right into it. Now let's talk about the Bruce Pearl situation, right? Couple of things, right? He retires. Son gets the job. Right after he allegedly make these statements about DEI, how he don't agree with it, what he don't like, yada, yada, yada. And then this happens. And he sees nothing wrong with it. So he retires. They give the job to his son, 38 years old, head coach at Auburn, at a major school. Bruce Pearl retires, said he's going to be a consultant while his son signs like a 5-year deal, something like that, be a head coach. Now, people felt LeBron did this. It was an outlash. It was I can't believe this, that, and this. Bruce Pearl do this. It's like some people talking about it. Some people tiptoeing around it. Some people probably won't even address it at all. And this is what I'm going to say. Being a 40-year-old man working in the corporate landscape, this happens all the time in the corporate world. All the time. It just don't get talked about enough because people don't want to lose their jobs. People don't want to get retaliated against. And when you live in a town where you live, there's only so many jobs available. You mess around and put yourself out there too far, it may be hard to come back from. But this kind of stuff don't get said out loud. But previous jobs that I've worked at, I've seen this kind of stuff happen all the time. It may not be nepotism, but it may be somebody that you know. It may be some kind of connection, whether through a group, whether through lifestyle, maybe family, but you know this person. It's not random. And this is what makes people get upset about them get stripping DEI away, because that word merit is a subjective word. How do you determine merit? There's no hard code metric, even though job description says they want degree, they want experience and or relevant knowledge of or experience. I'm telling you, this stuff happens all the time. It's a lot of stuff. This stuff is just in the news, but happens all the time. I've worked at companies where people would be in management and they don't even have a degree at all. And when it's required, most companies require at a certain level, you have to have a certain level of education. Well, somehow, especially in smaller companies, people find a way to bypass that. And it's all in the wording, how they post a job. It's all in the wording. It's like wordplay, word salad kind of stuff. I'm telling you, this stuff happens all the time. Not a lot you can do about it. The only way you could counter something like this if you own the institution. If you don't own it, not a lot you can do about it. Truly not a lot you can do about it. Let me know in the comments, what can you do when you only can control what you can't control? You can't control how institutions run their stuff. Only thing you can control is getting the most for your skill set and ability, and trying to reduce the tension, trying to reduce the chances of you getting behind the 8 ball or getting in the crosshairs. And they say this all the time in the corporate world. It's not what you know, it's who you know, especially as you move up. Think about this. If this guy's dad wasn't Bruce Pearl, he would not have this job. And then on the other side of the coin, did he take this job away from somebody else who was more qualified? Another side of the coin, a lot of times it's easy for people to say what shouldn't be done or what they wouldn't do. But if you had a son, you were highly successful in what you do, you want your son to be successful and stable, would you do that? A lot of people say they wouldn't, but I promise you a percentage of them would do it. Am I saying it's right or wrong? That can be debated. But what I'm saying is, when you're in the situation, just because it's right or wrong, that don't mean people care. Sometimes it's what it is. This is what I'm gonna do. And you have to not get caught up in other people's decisions. You see it, you know what's going on, but at the same time, I have to make sure that I put myself in position to take care of my family. This happens all the time. I'm telling you, this happens all the time in the corporate world. People get these jobs, and then you find out that they go to church together. They know each other somehow. It wasn't a random. It wasn't the best man wins. And if anybody think that is it, let me know in the comments. But I'm telling you, this happens all the time in the corporate world. I've seen one place to where at a previous job, you hear the stories, you see, how did this person get here? Well, they did X, Y, and Z. They made it, they rolled out the red carpet for this person to get this job. And they bypassed another person. So let's say you work for a company and they have multiple locations, right? They got one in Little Rock, one in West Memphis or something, and one in Jonesboro. You work for this a department, but it's spread out amongst 3 locations. And you been doing it. You're not the top person of the department, the head of the department. You're like on the second line. You're like the associate head or whatever. The associate head or the associate chair of their department. And let's say you work at the West Memphis location. Now, the department chair retires or leaves, and then the head department chair comes open. Now, you work for the company, but they're spread out amongst 3 locations. You go fill out for the head of the department, but then you go look for the paper, you look through the posting, and it says this position has to be located in Little Rock, but you live in West Memphis. You have the tenure, you have the experience, but it's difficult because you're rooted in West Memphis, but they said that this position has to be located in Little Rock. But guess what? The head of the department was in Jonesboro. What do you do? This kind of stuff happens. And then you find out that the person who gets it in Little Rock, kind of like Bruce Pearl's son, but it wasn't his dad, but the person just went to an online school, got the degree, and they got the job because they knew the person in Little Rock. They went to a lunch with the person or built a relationship with the person. And in order for them to have a better chance at it, they said the job has to be on site in Little Rock instead of Jonesboro and West Memphis. I'm telling you this because this stuff happens all the time. They will make a way for the person that they want to have the job. Now, on the flip side of the coin, even though this happens, most of the jobs that I've had was random occurrences because I had to get to know somebody, but I didn't know them personally. I just knew them just off of my work. They saw me work or they heard about my reputation and it preceded me and I was able to get in. But as far as like somebody up under somebody's wing and they say, yeah, go ahead, come on, we got you. I never really had that, but I always did good in interviews. Always had intrigued people in interviews. But working in IT, I've seen situations where people have gotten like the big top jobs is not off skill and merit. It seems like when you see the specs, you see the thing how it shape out. It seems like it's personable and they know the person and they put them on. Or it could be nepotism. One company that I worked at one time, it was a guy that got a job working there because I had to give him a laptop. He didn't even know what his job was. He didn't even know what he did for a job. He just came in, got his equipment, asked him what he needed for software. He said, I don't know. I don't even know what he want me to do, to be honest with you. But he got the job because he knew the top person at the company. They were friend golf buddies or something, who knows. But this kind of stuff happens all the time. But you cannot get caught up in what the next man have and what you don't have. You have to work with what you have and maximize what you have. And that's what I'm saying. I could really care less. I'm just trying to give you how the world is. It's what you think it is, and it's how the world is. And you're not going to change. One person can't change a whole mindset or culture. It won't happen. So with that being said, let's talk about Bruce Pearl again. Did Bruce Pearl exploit black kids despite his biases or beliefs? The answer is yes, he did. Sometimes, in order to get to certain places in life, you have to go through things, you have to endure things. Not saying that you have to, but if you want to get to the other side, some things you just have to go through. Some hurdles you're going to have to jump. They built in. This dude's no different. A lot of guys like him, they're good at being covert in their biases and beliefs until something or somebody asks them the right question or somebody put them on the spot. But what I will say is we have to just be honest about it. I mean, he know that the talent is where the black kids, most, the highly talented, the higher percentage of talent is in the black kid pool. So he has to cater to that because he wants to win. And this is why I'm trying to tell you, whether sports or the real world, when you have the skill in any job field, if you got the skill and the will, I promise you, people will put a tamper on their biases or beliefs because they need that skill in order to get to the next level. I promise you, they'll do it. I'm telling you, as a man that's 40, has been working in IT, a lot of times I've worked a lot of places that I've been the only person of minority or the only person of color on the staff, period. I worked at one place, at one point, I was the only person, no, the only man of color there. Am I tripping? No, I'm trying to give you the reality. I've been places to where they wanted to let me go, but they couldn't because the skill was so great, they couldn't do it. I had to leave on my own because it's like too much skill to let him go. But if he was to leave, we wouldn't be tripping. And that's kind of what happened. I found a better position, a better opportunity, but people will exploit other people despite their biases or beliefs if the skill will help them get to a better place or help them win. Whether it's sports, whether it's the corporate world, whether it's, you wouldn't say dating, people will do it. That's called the real world. Is it right? No, but people still do it. If you get stuck on what's right and what's wrong all the time, you get blinded to how people really do things. It get real blurry sometimes, what's right and what's wrong with some people. He may tell himself it's wrong to do it, but guess what? Winning is right. And I got to win at all costs. Whether whether I like these people or not, this is what helps the team win. They're paying me millions of dollars to win games, not to have biases and beliefs. And people like Bruce Pearl are good at separating their biases and beliefs to a certain point in order to get the job done, in order to make the millions. They willing to put that to the side for a second or covert it as long as they can in order to win. He's not the only coach that's done it. There's a lot of coaches that do it. They exploit demographics of kids, whether it's black, Latino, um, stereotypes or whatever. It's in sports, whether you believe it or not. Certain demographics do certain things. And then you have outliers, right? Not gonna really get into that unless I had somebody else on there to talk to it about, but he definitely exploited and he got in a lot of hot water here lately. And he had to retire and put his son up as the figurehead, and he kind of coached in the background. That's just my opinion. That's what I think he did. So, that being said, let's go to the next. Do you know who is coaching your kids? Whether it's football, basketball, volleyball, Do you know who's coaching your kids? Or do you just drop them off because they're doing something constructive and they're staying out of trouble? But do you know the personality who's coaching your kids? Think about like Bobby Knight. You think about hard coaches. If you're not hard on your kids and they run into a coach like that, how would that affect your kids? See, for every Isaiah Thomas, that's only one person. What about the other 10 or 11 guys? Or more than that played for Bobby Knight that didn't get past how they were treated by him. Every kid is not um, mentally flexible, mentally nimble enough to understand who they're getting coached by. And I'm telling you, all the great coaches, look at their personality. And if you can see them in practice with no cameras, sometimes, like Bobby Knight is the one who got caught. But there are a lot of coaches who didn't get caught. And some coaches are actually harder than him. They just never was on camera. And it's before social media. So I ask you again, do you know who is coaching your kids? Another thing about coaching is biases and like picks and chooses. Sometimes a person can walk on and be ultra talented, but it's not who the coach picked. Seen this happen all the time. Ego. I know he's talented, but I didn't pick him. This is not who I had in mind to play this position. This is who I had in mind. Especially high school, especially college, and especially pros. You can be great, but you won't get the shot because that's not who he had in mind. Communication. Let's talk about it. Me and my brothers, we laughed at this, right? We joke about all the coaches that, we came into contact with and stuff. But do you know how coaches talk to your kids? Parents, do you know how coaches talk to your kids? Are you okay with coaches saying or cussing at your kids? Because he got a job to do and it's dependent upon the performance of the kids that he coaches. And when he's in practice, a lot of times they're trying to make sure that they get the best out of you in order for them to have the best chance to win. So the pressure, especially the high pressure schools, there's winning, a winning culture is not what you think it is probably on that field. Most coaches that are the winning coaches, most, not all, but most, are the ones who really have high expectations, a little bit harder with the kids because they expect them to be more disciplined, hold them to a high standard, and they do it their way. But I ask you again, parents, do you know how coaches talk to your kids? I'm not saying it's wrong. Some kids have to be motivated a different way. And as a coach, you have to know that. This kid, you can just say something tough to. This kid, you might have to get in his ear. This kid, you might have to get in his face in order to get the best performance out of them. Some kids, you got to make them mad. It's weird, but this happens. You got to make them mad to get the best performance. And some kids, you can just tell them what to do. Do A, B, C, and D. And they'll do A, B, C, and D. Some kids, you got to cuss at them. Not saying it's right. I'm telling you, when I was growing up, some of the stuff I saw from coaches, their cuss, get your what the y'all don't want to practice today, huh? We got something for that. Shout out to Coach West. Shout out to Coach McKinney, who I ain't too much care for, but shout out to Coach McKinney. Talk crazy. I'm talking about cash money crazy. You come in there half stepping, come in there half stepping if you want to. See what he say to you. And this was like what 98, 99, 2000. Then I think I stopped playing after that. I quit. But the varsity team, when I used to hear them talk to the varsity team, man. Even Coach West, he didn't play no games. If he got mad, he didn't play no games. But they human. But I ask you again, do you know how coaches talk to your kids? Because what if you don't treat your kids like that, but the coach do? Are you aware of how that affects your kids? Some kids is a good effect. It helped them elevate. Some kids, it puts them in the shell because they're not being used to being dealt with like that. But as a parent, you have to know who's dealing with your kids on that level and how that affects them. Sometimes when you grow up in a single parent household, you're more focused on providing. So you really don't have time for those kind of details. You're just praying and hoping that they stick to the sports, keep them out of trouble, they excel at it, and maybe it can give them a scholarship or a way to get to a better education. But don't skip out on the detail who is coaching your kids. When we was in high school, we had these weird little things, right? A coach tell you if you play football, you can't play basketball. You can't do two sports. You got to pick one. Don't play this sport. Focus on track, or I won't let you play. Sometimes a coach can know what you can do to be better, but they won't tell you. They can see the raw talent and potential in you, but they won't tell you because if they told you that, you will be better than the person that they picked. And now they have to make a choice. The person I just picked to put my eggs in, I have to sit them down because of this person has better talent and better potential. Sometimes it's not always about the talent. It's about likability and did the coach pick you? He had you in mind the whole time. No matter how talented you is. Some coaches will put a lot of stock into the player that they like, even though they're not as talented. It's just who they like. I've seen that too. Because I've seen some guys who were great, like in basketball, they were great, but because the coach didn't like him, he didn't give him a fair chance. He didn't give him a fair shot compared to the person that he liked. I'm just telling you what I saw with my own two eyes. Same way in the corporate world. There are people, because they like a person, will put them in position more so than the work ethic, more so than proven ability. It's the likability. This depends on the job. So with that being said, let me know in the comments. Is that Bruce Pearl situation more common in the corporate world? I'm going to say yes, it is, because I see it all the time. And do you know who is coaching your kids? Do you know how these coaches talk to your kids? And are you okay with that as a parent? So, CTM Sports Talk. I had to come on and talk about that before I go to bed for the night. But thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Where's the QR code? I'm gonna put that on there for you so you can the QR code. Make sure to check that out. Go to the YouTube channel, scan that. Let me know what you think. This is Mike. I will catch you on the next one. Don't know when, but it will be a next one. And I am signing out.
See, I'm too deep to change. Everybody know my name. I guess I got